just because the play was that exciting.
It's so funny.
Could you imagine that being on an Ultimate game?
So apparently one of the things I saw in the subtitles of it is like, England, you can go wherever you want, leave Europe, we don't care. There's a lot of
are these directional mics that like...
Yeah, there's like an egg.
Yeah, I see. So this has to point at like...
Yeah.
I think I haven't...
Oh, cool, yeah. I cover it because it's got the head, but at least it goes a bit on the same. It still works, man. I think that's why I thought you were
I think I was pointing down. Or I like had this pointed at my mouth instead of this. Yeah, if you just told me that there was a position, I didn't know that it was position. Like I didn't get that I can feel, I like squeeze it and I can feel, oh, I get what it's doing.
They still work pretty good.
My voice is pretty loud, so it still gets picked up.
This is for probably
Oh, is it?
We've got more volcanoes than what? We've got more volcanoes than
I think you've been doing it not like that.
Time to start the steering circle!
Tell him.
Yeah, maybe that might be more efficient way to do it. We could try and do it because
Are locked, my keys are lost, I'm reeking of beer. Well, I'm not fussed, no, I've had a good night. The cheap drinks, the good friends, the bright lights. I've been out here living my nightlife. The whole time you haven't crossed my mind. And my friends said you want the right type. And you made it pretty clear that right. Tomorrow's headspins be alright. Cause I'm starting a new chapter. I've had enough, yeah, I've been enough, yeah, I've had enough, I've had enough, yeah, I've been enough, yeah, I've had you wanted, I've had enough, yeah, I've been enough, yeah, I've had.
Welcome, everybody, to this last round of play here on Wednesday at the European Ultimate Championships in Győr, Hungary. I'm Ravi Vasudevan, joined by Christina Obermeier. We've got a mixed division matchup here in the lower pools, the Czech Republic versus Austria. Can you tell us a bit, Christina, about these two teams and where they are in terms of the rankings and what they're playing for right now?
Yeah, so this game is starting off as a lower power pool matchup for first place. So it's deciding both of those teams are going to brackets, but it's deciding on who gets the better matchup in this game today. So Austria's had a good start in power pools so far, and the Czech Republic has suffered a loss to Lithuania earlier today, going down by 3 points. Austria beat Poland this morning by a margin of quite a lot and managed to get up to a 0-5 lead, apparently.
Now, you know this Austrian team pretty well, don't you, Christina?
Yeah, I do. I actually played all the preparation tournaments with them, and initially I was not going to play because of U24s, because I was going to play on the women's team, then the women's team was cancelled, and therefore I thought it was going to would have a spot in that, but I was not chosen for the team, so I'm here reporting on the women's division and commentating here and there.
Well, we're glad to have you here, Christina, on the mic. Can you tell us, since you played all the preparation tournaments with these Austrian team, how have they gone? Did you actually meet the Czech Republic in any preparation tournaments?
We did not. The Czech Republic went to Windmill, and they had a rough patch there, only getting 27th place in the end. But Austria did rather well, actually. We played a very good first day and then had a rather rough patch at the beginning of day 2 and missed the bracket, the top 8, by a margin of 0.07 Swiss draw points, which is not a very lot.
I've been on the back end of that as
Right.
well. It's a tough thing to do. But, so I guess Austrians probably favored a bit in this matchup, given how well these two teams did at Windmill, and the fact that Czech Republic have suffered one loss in the pool, whereas Austria have not. But we'll see how things play out here. Can you talk a bit about the makeup of this Austrian team? Do you guys come from a lot of different clubs? Are you mainly from Vienna, or are you coming from other parts of Austria as well?
So it's actually a pretty mixed team between young and old, different clubs, people that mainly play open division or women's division, and actually players that only play mixed. And there's a large contingent of Vienna, since Vienna is the main city in Austria where Ultimate is happening, but also a lot of people are from Graz and around Graz. So yeah, the Ketchup Graz is represented well, and also the legs of Wunde team and Chuck Bronson.
Okay, so I'll maybe have to try and bias myself a little bit towards the Czechs, as we'll try and get neutral commentary here with a member of the Austrian team here on the mic, Christina Obermeier, as the Czechs start things off on offense. That's Václav Pacha with the disc, dishing it back. So far, Austrians doing a good job of shutting down the Czechs in the downfield space, only working with their handlers. That disc going up, but the Czech female player was down on the ground. Number 87, Ludmila Leshalova, was not able to come down with that one. The Austrians get a first chance for a break. Here we see number 40, Leon Dovitz, dishing it to 52, Julia Schmeiser. Schmeiser known internationally, a lot of experience there. She puts up a big disc, and that one's going to hit the fences. A little bit of sloppiness here in these first 2 points, Christina.
Yeah, the Austrians there with a great red zone opportunity, but just couldn't reel it in on the first time. Czech with another opportunity to get their hold.
Ludmila Jeselova, who fell down earlier this point, able to hold on to it this one. Lots of pressure there from the Austrians. But Jakub Jurasek holding on to the disc. Still nothing really coming from the cutting space. That disc is going to be popped over the top, but well guarded by Natalie Shilerova to come over the garbage. Nice up the line movement from Jakub Jurasek. He looks for a deep shot. There we see number 6, Kristina Garbova, tracking it down, but it's going to be a defense from the Austrians. That's number 9, Sophie Flegic with the D.
Sophie Flegic, actually the youngest player on the team, only 19 years old. And yeah, great talent out of Graz.
Now the Austrians moving it, this time with the full field to work with, still trying to get that break as Leon Dovitz has it up the line in power position. And he's going to call a bit of a foul there. Everything seems to be okay downfield. So we'll bring the disc back into play. Dovitz will still be in power position. We'll see if the Austrians can capitalize on this opportunity. Finds the around. Schmeiser gets it up the field. Nice movement here from the Austrians. Schmeiser looks for the break, doesn't find anybody there. Eventually finds an open side cut to the young Sophie Flegic for the score.
Flegic there with the bookends. Austria looking a bit shaky on this first possession, but able to get their first break. And celebrating with their hands spread out. Yeah, this Czech team also pretty mixed in their appearances when it comes to their hometowns in the Czech Republic. There's a lot of representation of the 3SB team where the Tožnerovas sisters play as well, and there's a lot of leftovers on that team. So yeah, they're coming together and wanting to promote mixed ultimate, where the rest of Czech Republic is moving on to open and women division for this cycle, and there's actually not a lot of players from the last EUC and World Ultimate Guts Championship cycle on this team, maybe 1 or 2.
That team from the World Ultimate Guts Championship, of course, getting a huge win over Canada, one of the bigger upsets of that tournament. I don't think they finished too high after that, but getting one nice win, I think that was in power pool stages. Right now, this Czech team having to deal with the fact that, especially on their women's side, a lot more of them transitioning to the women's program. As we see Honza Novak, very talented player on the Czech side. He was definitely on the men's team in the last cycle. But right now, playing for the mixed team, as we see a bit of a zone coming here from the Austrians. Or maybe just a bit of sagging off of the handlers, trying to force the disc into swings. Nice movement there. Jurasek eventually finds Novak. Novak puts it up deep for Jurasek. Lots of time, lots of space. He's going to be inbounds. He will, and the Czech collect a score. 1-1 as they even things here in this game.
And blown coverage there by Kine, losing the footage on the mark, and then just very well used by the offensive player to go deep and get that great shot off there across the field.
Interested to maybe understand exactly what the Austrians are doing there on defense. I don't know if you can give us something, if that was a zone or just they really just play off the handlers to get the disc out of the hands of Honza Novak because they think he's such a good handler there, or what's?
That is basically their starting cup. So they're trying to get on defense and prevent an immediate hook by putting a zone look for the first few passes and then transitioning the man right away.
Is that zone just around the handlers and they play man-to-man, person-to-person downfield, or that seems
really
to be what
depends.
I saw? Okay.
So it really depends on whether it's a hoe or a vert stack or a split stack maybe, and they're adapting to whatever the offense gives them.
So that time it not working out as Honza Novak finds Juszek for the score. This pole going to be bricked by the Austrians. David Hutte, one of the big players for this Austrian side to start things off.
David Hutte, actually the most experienced player, and he's playing for 20 years now, which is longer than Sophie Felgic is actually on this earth.
So Hutte sees what he can do. He finds Felix Mesner for the first cut. That's a deep shot now. Body's underneath it, and that's going to be a goal with Victoria Leskushek with the score.
Yeah, Vicky, actually one of my best friends, started playing with me in club, and a very good receiver on this Austrian mixed O-line side.
So there we see pretty much probably the play they drew up exactly with Mesner on the under and Leskushek going deep. If you score on your first two passes like that, you got to feel good about your offensive line. Czech have to find a way to stop them because you want to at least not give them their real pull play for an easy score. So far, the first look there we have from the from the Austrian offensive line working really, really well together.
Yeah, I think they've had a lot of time to actually get their connection set, and it actually took a lot of time too. But eventually, they're connecting now. Also, I think the Czech did a very good job on their offense, going downwind and using whatever the Austrian D-line gave them.
It's good to note there is a bit of a wind here. Here on this pitch too, we have a lot of gusty swirling wind. Right now, it's going a bit right to left on the cameras. So as you said, Austria just scoring a downwinder, the Czechs scoring a downwinder of their own. But on this field, things can change from moment to moment. It can go to crosswind and flip directions. We're very exposed here on field two. Czech getting things going. Austrian putting a lot of pressure on the downfield cutters. Right now, Honza Novak looking for an option. That throw is going to be low, but it will be collected by Lukas Krasek. Now Martin Reznik with the disc. Gets it back to Novak. And there's going to be a call on the field.
Looks like a pick as two Austrian players are tangling up with each other.
Novak looking for options downfield. And he puts up another big one. Acres of space free. And that's going to be an easy goal. You cannot give that much separation when Novak has the disc.
Yeah, that was... They're not sure yet, but now there's... Okay, goal is shown. So another hold for the Czech Republic, and that was another great huck by Novak there. Just connecting to whatever the Austrian offense gives them.
We saw that player, Ludmila Lezjalova. I think she was starting in the handler space, actually, and went deep all the way from that dump space, so maybe her defender not realizing that she's a deep threat as well as a handler. Oftentimes you're guarding a handler and you know, you're going to let that go because you think they want it under, but yeah, you got to stop it when Novak has the disc.
Yeah. Really,
cannot allow that
really
deep.
Be careful when he has that. All right, so we see the O-line back on the field for Austria.
You talked about Austria's windmill performance. You also went to Talampaya.
We did.
Did the really difficult Sunday to Monday tournament, 3 days off, and then Friday to Sunday combination. How did you guys do over in Geneva?
Not as well as we would have loved. We have a 3-line system. So we started out the days with only 2 lines playing because the games were really short. And so we lost the game against Lausanne, them just being the better team because we didn't have 7 of our players.
Okay.
And we're working well as a unit, as a huge squad, and with all of our strength players. And this was, I think, what broke us in Geneva a bit.
Okay, we get back into action here. Florian Kain. Nice movement by the Austrians. There's a shot to the end zone. And I believe he is in as Felix Mesner scores the goal.
Yeah, great flow on that Austrian O-line again. Czech doing a good job at forcing the Austrians to take second or third option on their cuts and not letting the easy two-pass offense get scored.
There we're going to see that nice backhand shot, picture perfect to the front of the end zone.
There was Sandra Neely there with the throw to Mesner. They're both playing on the Syrian Hawks.
That's not a club team I'm familiar with, actually.
It's just a rather small club team that does a lot of beach tournaments, and I think they're pretty proud of the players they've grown. And there are a few of those players coming from there into the national teams. Also playing for a Wunder team now is Hanno Stössel, who's also built up by the Syrian Hawks.
So the Czech Republic try to answer now. We'll see if they'll find a different way to score than Novak hucking it deep, but he will pick up. We do see Austrians going into this bit of a saggy look to try and stop that huck. So far successful, as he has to swing it to Daniel Purcell. Lejalova now gets it to Jurasek. Jurasek fakes the inside, but goes around to Novak. Novak goes for the swing. Eventually finds Yaslova. Novak now to Jurasek. Those three players getting a lot of the touches so far. Finally, we see a different look from Karasik, and that's going to be a score for the Czechs.
Yeah, great flow there from the Czech offense, and Lejalova really doing a lot for this Czech team, getting every other going deep. We saw her receiving a deep shot before, so she's definitely one of the most important players for that offensive line of Czech Republic side.
Getting her second goal for this team. So Lukas Krasik gets his first assist. Nice movement here by the Czechs.
As we see that, the break on into the zone. Great work there on shoving around the marks, and the Austrian defense just can't really do anything about that quick movement.
Apologies, that was actually Daniel Purcell with the score there. Wind picking up in our mics and on the fields. It still is going a bit right to left, more or less.
Let's see, maybe it's time for a zone look.
We'll see, still everybody attacking downwind. Everybody so far has scored downwind, even though the first point was a break in terms of starting on offense. Haven't had an upwind score yet, so that might be the difference maker here. Here the Austrians look for a deep shot, and that one's too easy.
Oh no, that was a drop.
As Neely drops that one in the end.
That was too easy.
It was too easy, exactly what I said. That's exactly what I said. Need to make it a little more difficult. Unfortunate, the clapping with your hands not exactly on top of each other. We've all made that mistake before.
I do that a lot, actually. Happens to me very, very often.
The Austrians hopefully going to clean that up, as we're going to see, I believe this will be the Czechs' first chance at a break, as this was the first turnover from the Austrian offensive line. They will have to work upwind and up the whole field, and without the likes of Novak on the field, so we'll see what other tools this Czech team has in their box. That one's going to be a big swing. Over to Thomas Weinzeitel. Throws up the line. There's a deep shot. It's meant for Aneska Langamova, but there's going to be a lot of bodies underneath it. Langamova comes down with it. Now looking for another option as Czechs try to get this upwind break. Nothing so far, but eventually finds the dump. Dubravsky gets it over to Daniel Gladys. There's the inside shot to Heklova. Good job by the Austrians to shut down the options in the end zone after that big grab. Dubravsky finds the shot eventually. but that disc is going to come back on a pick.
Travel call.
Travel. I saw pick hand signals.
He actually did call that before, but the Czech player just didn't hear it, I think. So we can see that.
You see a few little extra steps. I can understand that travel call.
Travel call.
I think there was also a pick downfield, so I believe I saw the pick hand signals anyways.
Right.
So I think maybe 2 calls preventing that score.
Great
There's
grab.
a nice find, an easy, not so easy grab, I would have to say. There's the dump. Is there a swing continuation? We have one, not quite in the end zone though. Czechs really want this score to happen. Havelkova gets it over to Gladish. Gladish with the shot in the end zone, and the Czechs break back.
A lot of patience there by the Czech D-line offense. Great red zone completion and a lot of patience swinging it around with some great break shots and not getting disturbed by the calls from the Austrian. Maybe that bit of confusion there. So yeah.
Austrians did do a good job of forcing a lot of passes. Once they got that catch on the end zone line, it took them maybe 20 passes after that before they finally managed to find a shot in the end zone. As they do find number 35, Aneshka Lagamerova, for the score.
And Austrians call a timeout after that to regroup.
Is that a common strategy that every time you get broken, you call first break, you call a timeout, or?
No, I think that was one of the things that we wanted to work on, calling the timeouts because we have them.
Mm-hmm.
And at Windmill we got broken 3 or 4 times in a row. Sometimes, some games, and we just didn't think about even having a timeout to call and maybe trying to calm down or calling a timeout too late. So I think that's a good thing to prevent another break from happening. You're all lens frustrated going out on the field trying to get a quick shot off, and it just doesn't connect because everybody really has the pressure. So taking a timeout, calming down.
How strict are the offense-defense lines? Do you have players that cross over? You generally keep to a pretty O-line, D-line system.
Since there's 3 lines,
okay.
O-line, D-line, and flex line.
Okay.
We do keep the lines, but we can use the flex line for either O or D in every point of the game. So if the D-line does a great job, but the O-line just doesn't get their normal points in, we can do flex line as O-line. Or if the D-line just seems to not put enough pressure on, we can do flex line as D-line.
Are players ever on 2 of those lines, or are these completely independent lines on your team?
If all the players are playing, and this is what's happening right now, all the players are fit and playing, then there's strict lines and no crossing overs.
Okay. So maybe you have to let us know which line is coming out now.
Oh, so they're called Loco, Flex, and Forelle, which is a drought.
Okay.
And they're named after clubs in Vienna. And they also have cool hand signals there.
So is this one the flex line?
This is Loco.
This is Loco.
O-line.
O-line.
The flex line is actually called Flex.
Okay.
Because that's a club in Vienna.
Got it. So this is the O-line. So was the O-line out there that got broken, or was that the flex
Yes.
line? So
No,
they
that
do
was the
decide to pull out the O-line again, trusting in their number 1 option on offense, giving them one more chance.
Yeah, they will do it. I'm confident.
Well, they're going to have to work upwind as things get a bit gustier here. Austrians have yet to score one upwind. Czechs were the first ones to do that so far in this game. But Austrians moving very well. So far, the wind not giving them any trouble. As Mesna gets the disc back to Schutte. Number 33, Marius Hochmeier, looks for the deep, but ends up faking it and finding the under, which is Mesna. Now David Hutze, working completely with the men so far. The women isolated downfield. And eventually the shot to woman as 21, Susan Brandstatter gets the goal.
Love pass there between Hutter and Brandstätter. They've been together for quite a while, I believe. Not so sure about that, but they're from Innsbruck. They play for the Insiders mixed, and yeah, they're a great addition to this team. Actually, returning from the 2015-2016 cycle, being there on the mixed team, which was actually a very stacked team of a lot of talent, and did not do quite as well as expected there, but they still haven't had enough of mixed play for the Austrian team. And with their skill, they are assured a spot on that team.
Okay.
As we see the flex line go out on defense now.
So this is the flex line. These are the ones can do it both ways.
They can do it all.
And now with Czech evening things up on breaks, Austrians will want to get a break of their own to retake their lead. Right now 4-4. Czechs back with their advantage starting on offense. Novak to pick up. A lot of movement between Novak and Lešovac. Back to Lešelova. Austrians coming out in a bit of a 1-3 zone. Or it's maybe a cup with a defender out there trying to guard the dumps. Novak now. Give us any insight into this zone, Christina?
Yeah, it's a 4-person cup with taking away throwing options instead of actually just making pressure. So one is for the dump, another one is for the swing around, one is for the inside, one is for the around. Right there.
Doing a very good job here. The Czechs have not had really a pressured pass, but just swinging it back and forth right outside their defending end zone, have not managed to gain any yards, really. Just movement between the handlers. We're gonna see if they're gonna break through this zone by throwing through it, throwing over it, or throwing into it. Looks like they're opting for the into it move at the moment. Give goes into that space in front of the disc. Gaining a little bit of momentum, but still Austrians pushing them away from real downfield options as the wind picks up. See if that affects these throws from the Czechs. Austrians hoping that eventually the Czechs will make a mistake, but the Czechs keeping their disc, keeping their patience. So far unable to really attack. A lot of fakes with this team from Lukáš Karasek. Karasek gets it to Jurošek. Almost a tipped D there, but Novak holds onto the disc. There's the inside shot. Maybe this will break things open. Not really a continue, though. The Czechs will go back into swinging. Karasek, sorry.
Great work there, but the Czechs just swinging around, being really patient, taking all the options they can get there. They're waving their hand to show that she's really free.
And you see Zuzana Venklova doing jumping jacks, trying to get that hammer. The Czechs don't seem to be comfortable with that shot in this wind.
I'm all for not taking risky shots in this wind, especially if this zone leaves open the handler movement, lateral movement.
After probably what's around 30 passes, they've gotten to half field. Venklova still trying to get the attention of the handlers, but they're either not seeing her or just not want to put on the risk. Happy to just swing around, or at this point just swinging back and forth, not really using the whole width of the field yet. Does seem like Austria is a bit trying to push them towards this side of the field, so maybe the Czech are recognizing that and trying to keep it away from where the Austrians want them. Now Novak moves a bit closer to this side. There we see Lešelova again. Jurasek. Novak. Novak with the cheeky scuba. That's the first kind of over-the-top throw. Didn't gain him many yards, but was on the money.
That's style points.
Lešelova now to Novak. Novak thought about it there for a second.
He really did.
He really wanted it, but still a little patient. There's the bladey shot to Karaszek. And again, no continuation as the Austrian defense is a little out of position. That's when you want to attack, and the wing's not really cutting for that. Novak fakes the over the top. Eventually finds Jurasek. This point really turning into a long one. There's the scuba. Just on the sideline. Swings it around to Jurasek. Novak now. There we see them break through, but again, no continue after they break through. That's when the defense is out of position, and the poppers around, I think, are getting lazy or frustrated. They're not getting any options, but they have to keep moving and then attack once the Czechs break through, and they haven't been able to do that so far, only working with the handlers, really.
Right, so I think the Czechs are trying to find the holes and do that while just staying there very statically, but this doesn't really help with that pressure defense from Austria. As Austrian players are getting tired.
The flex line, so far not able to get a turn. I wish we were counting the passes here.
We should have.
It's got to be getting up there.
Maybe 100 or something.
Not quite 100 yet. Maybe to 50 though. I'd believe 50. This zone really not causing any pressure on the swings. They're kind of allowing that option. And the Czechs really patiently using it. They're trying to gain a little bit of forward motion with the big swing.
And eventually they've gained another 10 meters.
They've been on that halfway line, which he's just a meter in front of, for at least 20 passes.
Great shot over the top there.
But again, no continuation. You have to at least threaten a continuation there, and nobody's in front of the disc ready for that swing.
Fake it till you make it. There's actually a player very, very deep in the zone, just waiting for a pass.
But that seems to not be an option that these Czechs are willing to take, so what they need is a continuation in the middle of the field. They're stretching deep in a big way, but I don't see this line throwing a big shot like that.
No, they look happy just doing that. Wearing out the Austrian players and swinging.
I do wonder who this favors. As you said, they are maybe tiring out the Austrian players.
But there's just two more lines of players ready to just run on the field.
Right, but I think the Czech players, at least, they're not running at all right now throughout this point. Just kind of playing catch with each other. Now they seem to break things open. Novak on the sideline eventually shoots for the end zone, and what a display of patience as finally Novak finds Jakub Jurasek for the goal.
Yeah, that was amazing, and I think this is our answer to who does it benefit. Making the Austrian legs tired at around midfield, just keeping possession of the disc for a very long time, and then waiting for them to not be that tight on the cup anymore, and then finding a lot of holes to go through is probably what the Czechs intended. I'm gonna say that now and believe it, that they're having a mastermind behind all of this, and that's what they did, and it worked out great for them. There were a lot of close shots, but yeah, they were never in a lot of trouble, and I think maybe the Austrians should think about changing up their zone looks a little.
They did force a lot of passes. You have to give it to them on that. They did, you know, you hope sometimes that after 50, 60, maybe even 70 passes, one of them is going to go errant, but the Czech handling core not giving up an error there. As now I'm guessing Austria is going to throw their O-line back out there.
Yes, that's back.
Schitte now gets it to Huta. The Czechs come out with a zone of their own. Pretty similar looking zone. 3-person cup though. Austrians deciding to go over the top a bit sooner. Not just with the safe flat swinging. Now trying to break through with some give and go moves. There's a nice hammer over the side, and there we see the continuation. This is what the Czechs didn't really do, is follow up after the big swings. That one nearly taken away, but the Austrians hold on to the disc. Nice movement from the Austrians. Schitte now. Eventually with the scuba to Hutte.
Schitte actually known for his great over-the-top throws. If it's hammers, scoobers, or blades, he will do it all.
There's the blade around the side, just as you said it. Has to be said, the wind has died down for this point, and that's much quicker work of zone offense, but just as pretty. The Austrians get a point, 5-5 now.
Yeah, I think maybe the Austrians have a good time at working through that zone because it actually is that similar, and they've played against their own different lines and teammates so much that they have found a way to work around this.
The biggest difference that I think in that point is Schitte's over-the-top throws, whether it's a blade or a hammer. That allowed Austria to make easier work, and then once he did that blade, you see the continuation pass from Hutter, the poppers, the wings, ready to move it forward once things get moving.
Yeah, all of them really content and want to see a disc, and happy to run a lot to get the defense to move for them and in their favor.
So 5-5 the score here, 1 break apiece. We're now always scoring upwind for the past few.
Yeah, let's see who can get that break, that second break. That's gonna be maybe a little game-changing early on in this matchup.
Still pretty good stuff from both teams. Not so many mistakes.
Not too much pressure on defense yet, but this is the actual D-line. Maybe they can force.
Well, I would imagine they would not put the flex line right back out after that
I would hope
marathon of point, but that's an amazing pull as the Czechs are now pinned back in their end zone. This D-line deciding to go into a match defense. We're not so happy with the performance of the zone, I guess. Czechs moving now. Karaszek gets it over to Juraszek. Juraszek, sorry. Juraszek pings it deep, high stall count. Didn't like what he saw to Novak, and that one's going to go way out of bounds.
Great
So
pressure there. Ooh, stall out call, I think.
I would believe it. He had the disc in his hands for quite a long time. But rarely ever see the uncontested stall out call. Everyone always believes you get it off first, and everyone always believes you got the 10 off first. It's a good demonstration of confirmation bias and what our brains want to believe.
It's uncontested, actually.
So we got one here.
Yay.
Uncontested stall out will give Austrians very good field position.
Great display of spirit there. Talking about it.
It's Benjamin Kine with the good mark, calling the stall out. Disc be fielded by Adrian Ernst. And he gets the break, throwing to Florian Kine. And Austria goes up 6-5.
That's some sibling work there. Benjamin Kine doing that great mark and a bit of match D. Just gave the D-line the opportunity they needed to get that break, that second break in a row that we've been talking about. So I think we will see the D-line back on the turf, trying to get another break off, and obviously...
So this isn't time for the flex line yet.
No, it's not. Obviously, the D-line is putting a little more pressure on that Czech side from what we've seen so far, but let's see what they can do down the wind, because Austria couldn't do anything at all against their down the wind offense. That was pretty sick with some great throws there. Long shots up by Novak especially, who appears to be not on the field for this one.
Will be tough for the Czechs to do stuff without Novak. He's been very key in their offensive points so far. I think they started the first one without him, and that was also a Austrian break. As now Yesialova fields the pull. Sorry, again, that yellow hat is confusing me. That's Daniel Prussel. There's 2 yellow hats out there on the field. Yesilova will be in the dump space. Disc is bricked, horizontal stack to start things off for the Czechs. That's exactly how they drew it up. You see the two continuation cuts working out beautifully. Martin Reznik gets it over to Proschel. Proschel puts up the shot to Yesilova. Jurasek finds the around shots, and that's great offensive flow from the Czechs.
They seem to run a similar system to the Austrian O-line. Horizontal stack and trying to isolate cutters and give them a lot of the space on the field to make their cuts and work it. Pretty content to work it around laterally and using their breaks and really trying to melt down the defense the Austrian put on them.
It was great timing on those cuts and great movement. As we see the upline pass to Yesilova. Then it's just swinging around the pitch using the whole lateral width of the field. Eventually finding Kristina Garbova for the score. 6-6, the Czechs line things back up even, but they're still down one break to the Austrians.
They didn't actually need Novak on the field to score a point now.
So the Czechs will pull to the Austrians as they will start things off on offense. Hutter getting the centering pass. The Czechs also opting to go into a match defense as they're going to draw a foul. That'll be uncontested.
Looked very athletic there by Hutter.
Good stuff from the Austrians as they get things off with some offensive flow of their own. Now the Czechs able to stop them and push them back. That's Mesner, who's had a lot of the stats on the board so far for this Austrian side. See, he gets the disc back. He seems to go in and out of the handler space, downfield and backfield.
Mesner, probably the best player on that Austrian team. He can do it all.
There he fakes the inside and eventually throws the big hammer to Hutter. And Mesner to Hutter, we've seen that the other way around. But Mesner showing his dynamism with the score.
Mesner actually loving that over-the-top hammer throw. And he's coaching Czech, the open team. Decided to go with the mixed team and taking up a big role on that team, doing a lot of work for them and also being one of the line captains.
So do you think Mesner would have had a spot on the Austrian men's team if he had wanted it?
Well, there was a difficulty of the men's team bringing John up 4 years ago, and 4 years ago he wasn't actually playing on an open team, and the men's coach decided that only from the 4 big teams that would open teams in Austria, people would be invited for tryouts.
Interesting. You might have some good stars on some other smaller clubs, no? I mean, that's an interesting strategy. Oftentimes I see the opposite, that national teams are a way for stars on smaller clubs to get some experience, then bring that back to their club as well, but the Austrians deciding not to go with this strategy.
Right. So this is what I've heard. Not 100% confirmation, but this is what I've heard. And also, I think Mesner developed a lot during the last few years, and going from just being a member in Czech's open team to a year later actually coaching them. And yeah, I think he went out the best way he could, and I think maybe the coach didn't anticipate it 4 years ago.
All right, so Novak will get the centering pass as Austria's up 7-6, still 1 break lead there, a big bid, but Jurasek able to hold on to it. There's a deep shot. Karaszek is underneath it. Can he read it? He does. Does he stay in bounds? Our angle is difficult to see. And that, I believe, will be called a turnover. He was out the back. Still a great box out performance there. Here we're going to see them on that back line. I think he was in.
quite see it, but I think maybe he only had the possession later. It wasn't.
So Austria will get another chance for a break and to try and take this half, as we see Felix Mesner out on the field for this D-line. So he's crossed over.
I think they've called a power line there.
Ah, so you do have some times where you each switch things up.
Apparently.
There's the inside shot to Ernst. Ernst puts it up big. Sean Montgomery's gonna be underneath it. He tracks it down. And an easy pop for the score, and the Austrians take half, 8-6.
I think she just wanted to close up half with a quick break. Doing a good job there.
So good performance from the Austrians as they will get offense to start this second half. Up 2 breaks now with an 8-6 lead. We're going to take a little break as well, as there'll be about 7 minutes, I think, the halftime's here. So in about 5 minutes, we'll come back to give you guys some second half action here in this lower pool matchup.
Doors are locked, my keys are lost, I'm reeking of beer. Well, I'm not fussed, no, I've had a good night. The cheap drinks, the good friends, the bright lights. I've been out here living my nightlife. The whole time you haven't crossed my mind. And my friends said you weren't the right type. And you've made it pretty clear that right. Tomorrow's headspins be alright. Cause I'm starting a new chapter. I've had enough, yeah, I've been enough, yeah, I've had enough, yeah, I've been enough, yeah, I've had you, I've had enough, yeah, I've been enough, yeah, I've had enough, yeah, I've been enough, yeah.
Welcome back to second half action here. As we finish up this halftime break, we've got Austria versus the Czech Republic. Austria up a couple breaks here. Austria's in black, Czechs in white. I'm Ravi Vasudevan, joined by Christina Obermeier. So Christina, can you talk a bit more about how these two teams went? You told me earlier in the broadcast that both these teams have already made the bracket, but what happens if you win or lose? What do you get for winning this game?
Right, so they're in pool XH, and XH is going to cross over with XE, and apparently the other games are going as followed. So Finland is going to be the fourth in the pool, and Sweden is going to be the third in the pool. So whoever wins this game is going to go play a game against Finland tomorrow, and the other team is going to compete against Sweden. And I know that Austria has already played Sweden, and I believe they lost in Universe Point.
Was that at the Danish Invite tournament?
No, that was actually on this tournament.
And this tournament,
they were in the same pool,
yes,
starting out.
I remember seeing that.
And I believe it was their second game after the opening ceremony against Hungary. So yeah, might be a cool rematch, because you know you never lose twice against the same team.
I'd be a little careful with the Swedes. They tend to kind of bring things into bracket play. We'll see if that happens. But Austria trying to win and avoid them and face Finland. That seems to be probably what they want to do, as we see them kick things off here, starting on offense, up 8-6 right now. There's the big shot. And that one's going to be easily collected by Felix Mesner. This man's doing everything for this team so far.
Yeah, he's a great force on this O-line there.
What a shot there for goal. When you have a receiver like that, it's easy to hit them in stride.
Right, yeah, Austria looking strong after half. And it was a contested throw. The receiver actually a little injured right now. But playing because it's a live stream. And you know, for a live stream game, there are no injuries. And let's see what the D-line can do on the Austrian side.
Here we're going to see that shot go up from Marius Hockheimer. Putting it up for Mesner. Great going up with the left hand there.
Yeah, Marius is gonna play for the Austrian men's team at the U24 World Championship next week. So pulling a double duty.
Are there other players on this team doing that, or is he the only one here?
Not on this team, because Austria is only having a men's team there. But I believe a few of the open players are pulling a double duty as well.
Some countries not allowing that. We know the likes of Belgium are completely splitting their U24 and their men's teams. The Netherlands doing the same. Some countries saying, well, if you want to do double duty, you can. Some countries worrying about the burnout and the injury risk. Novak to start things off into this Austrian zone. Last time we saw the zone, it took them about 5,000 passes, I think, more or less, to get into the end zone. We'll see if the Czechs can keep that patience or maybe attack a little stronger. This zone a little different from the Austrians, putting a bit more pressure on the swings.
I just wanted to mention that there is a different zone look as well, and I think they're coming out with their zone look now.
So here a bit more attempts to block the throws to the handlers as opposed to just letting them swing it easily. But Novak able to find the holes a little easier right now, but still no continuation downfield. And you saw when Vaclav Pachka, number 21, got the disc, he didn't even look upfield. He just looked back to Novak. Same thing happened there. So they're only working with the handlers here. They're not even looking to the next set of cutters. Maybe except for Novak, who puts his eyes downfield every now and then to look for a nice shot.
Novak actually a silver medal player from the 2007 EUC.
A man with years of experience.
On that Czech mixed side. Great experience. Dictating the offense.
Jurasek looks for the swing to Karasek, who was out of bounds on that catch. I think he was looking at the dashed line for the spectators and didn't realize he was so close to the out of bounds area.
Right, yeah, that happens in concentrating so much on wanting to catch that disc.
So Austria now, Dovitz throwing it off to Feigl. And that disc is going to come back.
Because of a pick call, in my opinion.
The call was 5 seconds ago, according to them. Stahl will come in on 2 now. There's a swing, just out of reach, but Feigl able to come down with it. Dishes it back. There's the give and go move. Now we're getting some momentum forward. Schmeiser with the disc. Going up the field looking for an end zone shot. Back to Schmeiser, and she shoots for the end zone. A little short, but that's a great shot by Dovitz into the end zone for the score.
Yeah, we could see that Dovitz and Schmeiser having a great connection. They're the main force on Wunder team, and both playing for forward. So Dovitz playing for forward, Schmeiser playing for Mantis, the women's and the open side, making a difference there in the handler set and basically everywhere on the field.
There we see the nice inside shot by Schmeiser, who eventually finds the 26 shirt of Mia Pak for the score.
You can see the crowd giving a screaming battle, chanting battle for both the teams, as the Austrian men's side and I believe the Czech women's side have come to cheer for their mixed contenders. And maybe a timeout call on the field.
Now we're going to get a look at the replay of the toed catch in the back of the line to see if we can give some perspective on that one. Our button operator, Mike Palmer, saying we might want to look at it. As I believe the Czechs are calling a timeout here. So here, let's take a look again. Disc goes up. See the great box out. Here we're going to get slow motion. Watch the hand. There he touches it. I think his left foot was down.
It's really hard to tell from here.
Very, very tricky. Nice hugging of the net back there.
There's a call from the sideline from a spectator calling it out of bounds. So
Well, they could never be wrong.
I don't know. I'm just they've had another opinion, so it's not just one. Ooh, what was that?
Here we're going to get another look at it. From here, it's going to be pretty hard. Slow it down here. Was that foot down when he caught it? It's very, very tough to tell if his left foot was down. I think it might have just been, but the player's going to agree to call that one out.
Yeah, I think that's part of the spirit of the game. Agreeing on calls, even if it might not be what exactly happened, but that's why we can talk about stuff like fouls as well.
I'll have a look at the YouTube chat for those of you watching this live. See what the opinions are. I'm sure they're going to be completely unbiased. Whether you guys thought that was in or out. Anyways, there's a few points back. Nothing's going to change now. We're coming out of the timeout, and the Czechs look to clean things up a bit after getting broken. Austrians up 10-6 now as they try to secure themselves a spot against Finland to avoid the powerhouse of Sweden. So still quite something to play for here. Prosel doing a little bit of a give-go move. There's the inside shot, almost some pressure on it. Not quite great movement here from the Czechs. It's better than we've seen from them in quite some time. Nice pressure from the Austrians as well. Lots of fight here on this point. There, the disc goes up. Can she get there? That's a great shot as Natalie Kivlarova gets the score.
Yeah, great look there from the Czechs. Not letting themselves be impressed by the flying bodies of the Kane brothers, and just working the disc up the field into the end zone. Great shot there to number 91.
Here we're going to see that movement again. Here's the shot from Martin Reznik, who gets the assist. So we got in, looked like in, but just barely, in my opinion, an out and an in. So 3 out of 4 of our audience calling it in. Shout out to Zoom Pew Pew, giving that out call, going against the grain. Those names do look a bit Czech on the in call.
Little, yeah. Might be a tiny bit of bias there.
Of course, you have no bias as an Austrian on this field, so.
I don't, but never.
There's a bit of a low catch as Austria look to extend their lead to 4. Wind picking up again now. Huta surveys his options. Looks downfield for quite some time, eventually find Mesner. Mesner with the error, I think his first of the game. That's out of reach of Marius Hochheimer, and the Czechs will have a chance for a break. That disc is going to be high. Tracked down, though, by number 47, Daniel Gladys. It's a bit of a discussion about maybe the contact going on. Disc is in now. Shot up the field. Tomasz Weissaitl. Czechs looking at their first break of the game. That comes out not as intended. As Austria now try and get that hold again. A little bit of a gift from the Czechs. That one's going to be a shot to Mesner. It's going to be bodies underneath it, and a huge D by number 51, Tomasz Weissaitl, who gets the disc back for the Czechs. They have not given up here, Christina.
No, they've not, and I believe you always do your best Ds when you actually are responsible for the turnover in the first place, and the player doing a great job there, getting back this D on on his errant throw that was a bit of a harder throw in that wind that is picking up again now. But let's see what the Czech team can do. Maybe get a break up the wind.
Haven't managed to get a break yet this half. Starting to move things. There, the around break of a pass, but they want the break of a score. That one just about grabbed. Czechs looking pretty good and confident here. Juroszek on this line. So there was some O-line players crossing over on the Czech side. There's the disc from Weissaitl. Nice round shot, but that will be to no one as a miscommunication will give the disc back to the Austrians.
The Czech managed to attack the break side very well, but this last shot just not connecting there. A little bit of a miscue. gives the Austrian another opportunity to get a score on the board.
We have Windmill Tournament Director Freddie Chart calling it in, by the way. Still discussion about that play. Also complimenting me on my voice as Austrians take a timeout, as the Czechs have flustered this O-line. So the Czechs will feel happy about that, but not able to capitalize and turn it into a break. Score now still 10-7 here.
So a lot of action going on right now. On the other pitches as well. We're wrapping up the day with the last couple of games in the mixed division. We've got France up 13-6 on Sweden, Germany leading Finland 11-4. It's pretty clear. And then we've got Italy and GB matching up, with GB pulling away 11-5 there, and Russia leading 10-7 to the Swiss team.
That one is also on the other live stream. For that one, you will need a fanseat.com subscription. A great matchup there between the Russians and the Swiss. A little closer than some might have thought.
Ooh, there's a close game between Denmark and Belgium mixed. 7-8 currently. We just got into halftime.
Denmark having quite a topsy-turvy week so far, getting a big win against Russia, then losing by 9 to Germany to get themselves in the lower pools. Now, I would imagine that's a fight for the top 2 spots, although Ireland's in the mix there too, so I don't know the standings in Pool XG. Maybe we'll try and figure that one out for you as in the next time out. But right now, Austria coming back into the field, looking like they're coming in a horizontal stack look. Now, you know this team very well. Do they normally have the diamond cutting with the 2 cutters in front, or do they have some other kinds of set plays? What should we expect from these Austrian O-line?
They have a few different looks there. Either they're flooding out and leaving one cutter the whole space of the field, or they're working in a triangle.
Okay, now we see the sagging off of the Czech defender on the dump. But Hutter puts it over everybody, and that's a shot deep. There's going to be bodies underneath it, but she collects. Not quite in the end zone. And that one's going to count. Great stuff there from the Austrian number 21, Susan Brandstatter, to Felix Mesner.
Yeah, so this was a flood for a deep shot and a love pass as well. As we see again, David Hutter connecting with Susan Brandstatter in that deep shot. The Czech defender did a great job of not initiating body contact there and leaving the pass to the Austrian player, because I feel like he might have had a play on the disc, but chose not to endanger the opponent.
So right now, just talking about that pool XG that we mentioned, Denmark is 3-0 right now, whereas Ireland is 2-1. Therefore, if Denmark lose that game, they'll be 3-1, and even if Ireland win, they'll have the head-to-head victory. So maybe Denmark resting some of their top players as they've realized they've already won that group. Belgium, on the other hand, if they get that 2-2 win, they could cross up with Ireland mixed, but I think Ireland also have the head-to-head win over them. So looks like that pool's actually quite decided already. So that may be why that game between Denmark and Belgium is so close, as that would be a bit shock to me. Czech Republic now trying to get things going and reduce the deficit to 3. Proschel now. The string around to Karasek. This is one of those rare offensive points we see. Sorry, I thought Novak wasn't on the field, but he was just, Florian Kain was blocking my vision of him there. Stall out is called. So that's the second time that Karasek has been stalled out this game. The second time he's going to uncontest it.
And the second time with the same player there.
Florian Kain puts it up big. He's looking for his target, and that's going to be a quick one-pass goal as the Austrians extend their lead.
brother connection from kind to kind. So Austria's up now 12-7 against the Czech Republic. Let's see if the Czechs can regain their focus or if Austria will pull away with that even further. Stall out is never a good way to turn over a disc. You want to maybe throw a quick huck or get the disc off somewhere else, but not let yourself be stalled out and give the opponents a good field position to get a break off.
Very tough stuff. So which line is this one, Christina? Are they going with their D again, or is
They're
the
going
flex? Flex is coming out. Let's see if the Austrians can flex their stuff here. Try and get another break against these Czechs, or if the Czechs can steady themselves. The Czechs seem to have taken off a lot of their O-line players here. So after that break, giving the other teammates a chance for some offensive glory. Gladish now, playing a bit of catch with Lukas Manak. Gets it into Thomas Weisdeisel. And that's going to be a bit of an errant throw from Gladish, and it will give the Austrians a shot as we see an injury call from number 40, Leon Dovitz.
On the replay, Dovitz just slipping on the mark, having to get an injury sub.
Putting Felix Mesner in, not a bad substitution to make, especially when they now have the disc for the attack in a short field. Good to put one of your best offensive players in there to make this a quick goal. Mesner will pick it up, even though it's not his line. He will take over here. Eventually swings it around to Fagel. Continuing to work the break space. And there's a shot to the end zone, and that's going to be another goal for the Austrians as they seem to be walking away with this one a little bit.
Yeah, great visionary shot by Montgomery there, opening the open side and getting the easy pass into the zone.
That was Mia Pak with the goal, as the Austrians extend their lead to 13-7, just 2 points away from earning themselves in a bit of an easier pre-quarter against the Finns. Have you guys seen Finland at all this season?
No, unfortunately not. We were invited for the Stenmark invitation, but we decided not to go since we wanted to focus on tournaments where not only national teams but also other tough opponents, club teams would be there.
Yep.
And
do you have a rationale for why you wanted to face club teams instead of just national teams?
not that I'm aware of, but maybe just get in the mix a bit.
It is mixed ultimate. Got to mix it up every way we can. It's also more fun to go play Talonpie and Windmill. You got a little bit more of a party going on than I think the Danish Invitational Tournament was going to have for you guys.
Right, and also it was pretty soon in the season, pretty early. Didn't want to put all our tactical strategies on the line.
So now Czech trying to answer back as they've taken 2 breaks in a row. The Austrians have. There's the up the line cut from Proschel. Proschel finds Pacha. Pacha up, and that's going to be out of the hands of Susanna Venkova, and now Austrians get a chance to double the Czech Republic score if they can get this one in.
Unfortunate drop there. Great movement by the Czech.
So which line we got here? Is this flex? This is D?
This is D.
This is D. Flex did it. Now it's time for the D line to see what they got. Kine gets it up to Genevieve Smucker. The American on the team, Jenny, right?
Yep.
Adrian Ernst gets it back to Zerlauth. Ernst again. Finds Zerlauth with a little cheeky up the line pass. And that's going to be another goal to number 66, Susan Frengel.
Susan Frengel actually played for the Swiss women's team in 2016, getting a pretty good world championship there with them. And I believe she's a German citizen, so she could get the best of all worlds there.
There we see the pass for the goal. So you said she's German?
I think she's German by nationality, played for the Swiss team already, and now is playing for Austria and actually working in Austria as well.
Really mixing stuff up herself.
And Jen moved over with her boyfriend Sean, who's also on the team. Quick shout out to them, they're in my club, playing mixed with me, Wiener Mischung in Vienna, and they're just great to be around.
So the Austrians now doubling the score of the Czechs, the second half running a bit more for the team in black. Honza Novak trying to steady this ship. Gets it over to Pashta. That pass collected by Gladish. Now Jurasek goes deep. And that's going to be easily eaten up by number 42, Lena Rapotnik.
Right, and Austria with an opportunity to end this game.
If they can finish this one out, they'll find themselves against the Finns tomorrow. The Czechs will have to face Sweden. We'll see if that's the way it's going to go as Austria look to finish this one out. Still with a 14-7 lead. That shot a bit too high for Kine, and the Czech Republic will get another chance. Novak. And that's going to be another error as that one goes up above Gladish, but he just bobbles it in.
Oh,
Now the Czechs looking for a deep space. There's a shot to Jurasek, and that one's going to be too tough. The one-handed grab. Quite the throw up by Patrick Zerlauf. High release and still collected by number 26, Mia Pak. Pak gets it to Stossel. Stossel goes for the goal and the win. And Jurasek saves the game for the Czechs. They will not finish it out yet.
As we see that defensive play again. Great work. Baiting that shot a little maybe even. And the Czech Republic with another opportunity to go up.
Novak now. In the back, his defending end zone. Trying to get things moving to Gladish, up the line, in power position. He does not like the deep shot, though. Dump to Novak, swing across to Jurasek. Nice cheeky forehand to the forehand side backhand from Jurasek. Honza Novak up to Vaclav Pachta. Back in the hands of Novak now. Pachta looking down the field, trying to get a deep shot. Jurasek goes for it. Instead, the inside shot to Rapotnik. Sorry. Jurasek now with the disc. Gladish just about picks that one up. Fakes the offhand backhand. Instead finds Jurasek. Gladish gets the cut, he gets open. And Novak looking for the disc, instead opting for the inside shot to Ludmila Leshova, but that disc is coming back.
Big call early.
Gladish now trying to figure out when the stall's going to come back in. Seems to be resolved as Jurasek tumbles into the ground. Pachta now shoots that backhand to the forehand side, a throw that coaches of mine have told me to never do. That time not working out.
Unfortunate, just a little too far in front. She actually wanted that shot. Just maybe didn't expect it.
So now Hochmeyer gets things going to Florian Kine, and Kine will call a timeout as Austria really want to put this game away so they can rest up for pre-quarters tomorrow. We never want to say it's over, but Austrians in a pretty commanding lead here, 14-7.
Yeah, Austria just looking very systematic there, doing what they can, and relying on every person on that team. Whereas Czech Republic is relying a lot on the great throws of Novak and getting every other there on a lot of 0 points. I believe the Austrian squad is also a little bigger.
Looking at the roster sheet, Austria seems to have 2 more players than the Czechs do, maybe 3.
3 more players. For a week-long tournament, it does make a difference to have 6 more legs.
We saw there the shot from Pashta. It's a bit of a controversial type of throw where you take, on the forehand side, you throw that kind of, what's called, some people call it the dad backhand with some kind of weird form. I've had controversy about this throw. I've had some people tell me that it's a fine throw. Some people say it's a really bad throw and they really actually hate it and think you should always go to that flick. Will Martin, a player for Ireland, he cannot stand watching people throw backhands to the forehand side. What's your opinion on this throw, Christina Obermeyer?
I do that a lot. I love throwing that backhand. I actually sometimes when I just swing on and the players on the same level on the field, I would just throw a backhand in a 90-degree angle, just because I know the person's there. It's far easier than stepping around, moving your body, taking a lot more time to get off a sidearm that's a riskier throw on a pass that's not so long. I feel like a backhand is more controllable in a shorter range of.
So Will Martin, if you're watching this stream, Christina Obermeyer not agreeing with your call there.
Sorry.
It's okay. We like to have different opinions here. Ultimate is not a solved game. Different people opting for different options. We'll see what Florian Kine opts for here as we see a vertical stack from the Austrians. Different. Usually we see them come out of a horizontal stack out of a timeout. It's one of the first times I've seen that.
That depends on the lines.
Ah.
One line likes to do a hoe. The other line likes to do a normal vertical.
All right, so swing across to Zerloff, who had the very interesting, there's another backhand to the forehand side. The Austrians really loving that. Swinging across now. The Austrians look to finish this game up. There's the swing. It's going to be low. The pick is going to be called. Hanno Stossel catches the disc, but Gladish, his defender, completely stopped with the pick call, so maybe there would have been an effect on that play.
I actually thought he would have to lay out to get that throw, but Hanno Stossel just showing his explosivity and catching that. So a bit of a discussion about that pick call. Spirit captain Lena Rapotnik.
I think they're trying to discuss whether or not that had an effect on the play. Would Gladish really have made a bid on that disc? I think it's tough to say.
Maybe he wouldn't, but he would have been in another position, and maybe throw wouldn't into either side wouldn't have been that easy.
That's true. Now Zerloff puts up the shot, and is that going to work? That's going to be it. The Czechs, sorry, have lost this one. The Austrians have won. They've topped their lower pool and will be going to face the Finns tomorrow.
Great work there by this Austrian side, being patient, walking out the disc up the field, and just waiting for the perfect option to get that across the field shot off to puck.
So that'll do it here for Power Pools Day. Wednesday here at the European Ultimate Championships. Tomorrow we're going to get things started in bracket play. It's do or die time, win or go home, or go to the consolation games. We have lots of consolation games here. We're a bit nice in the Ultimate community. Things get more and more excited, so stick around tomorrow. Lots of games that you can watch tonight that we have recorded all day for Christina Obermeier, Ivan Vasudevan, and we'll see you in bracket play tomorrow.
Alti.tv